The first day I went to school in the US, my mom, again, coming from Pakistan, wanted me to wear a suit and a bow tie to look nice because, their idea is very different, So I walked into school with like a suit on with a bow tie and I was like, hello, my name is Uthman, how are you? And they beat me up that day. I got jumped 3 times the first day. Yeah. Same day, big black eye, ripped shirt, bow tie gone, all that, came home. And my parents were divorced, it was a very secular household. We weren't religiously inclined. When I was around 10, I knew the gang. They would know me. I used to fight a lot because, again, people would make fun. Our students have screws loose in their head to begin with, so it would just end up being a fight. When I was 12, I had an Irani friend. He was not Muslim. I didn't have any Muslim friends growing up, So his family was from Iran. They were Shia, but they became Christian to get a visa to the US during the revolution there. So his family were all Christians. But he was Irani and I was Pakistani, so in school we're the only 2 semi-Middle Eastern guys. So I used to hang out with him, but he liked to start fights. So he picked a fight with these guys from a gang called Lomas 27th Street. It's a Latino gang. And they started beating him up and I saw him, I jumped in. And I started fighting and he ran away. And 3 guys beat me up though. When I went home, I was pretty bashed up, They were older guys. So my mother called my father. He didn't live with us, so he came. And I remember it very clearly. So he pulled up, he had this old Camaro that, at that time was new. And he pulled me in a room by myself and he told me, I only have 2 questions. Did you run? I said no. He said, did you cry? I said no. I said, okay, we're good then. So he grabbed a baseball bat and got in the car and said, let's go find them. So we drove around and the gangs have particular areas where they post up. This is they have to represent the hood. So I knew where they would be. We went there, we saw them. I told my father, that's them. We both jumped out. He took a bat. He hit one guy in the head. My father cracked one's shoulder, shattered his shoulder. The other guy, he cracked his head. And again, my father was was a tough guy, so they ran. The problem got to be is then my father drove off and went to his house and I had to go to school the next day. So I very clearly remember going to school the next day and I remember just walking down the hallway and people going, hey, there's that dead kid, the one that's going to get killed today. Lomas 27th Street was about 500 strong. I was by myself, 12-year-old kid, and we had just cracked one guy's head and broke that guy's shoulder. So basically they were going to wait till school's over and they were going to roll up from the high school because this is elementary school, but they would come from the high school to mess with us. Older guys, yeah. And it was going to be my death that day. So another gang called Eastside San Diego, also Sureños, they approached me. They said, look, we've seen you around. You can fight. You stand your ground. If you don't want to die, join us. And Eastside was about a 600 people strong gang. And they didn't like Lomas Street to begin with. So they were like, you join us, we'll protect you. So that's how I, at 12 years of age, got into gangs. So basically, when I got involved in gangs, it wasn't like robberies and little things. It was a lot of bigger stuff. We used to work with the cartels. San Diego is the last city before Tijuana. So all the drugs that come into the US, they go. And Tijuana, Mexico is the most dangerous city in the world. If you Google the highest murder rate in the world, in 1 year they had 2,800 murders just in that city. We had people who would go and sell drugs on the streets. I wasn't one of them. I was part of the more people that planned things. So we used to go down to Tijuana, meet with the cartel guys. We would facilitate bringing the drugs in. We would take guns from the US to them and they would pay us in drugs and then we would then sell those on the streets. We did like robberies. We also did hits for them. Right? So if they wanted somebody killed in the US, they wouldn't send a guy from TJ. They would just tell one of us like, hey, here's a guy, here's money. So the first friend I saw get killed, I was 14. But it's one of the things that still kind of haunts me sometimes because he got shot right, in the head. And as you know, what you see in the movies of how people get shot is not reality, right? It's not like a little hole and then the Indian movies, like the blood's dripping, the guy's still running. He got shot, he had a bullet hole and then the back of his head was gone, but he was still it wasn't like he wasn't gone, he was still breathing. And I remember holding him and the worst thing is you kind of had to, you were like, it's going to be okay. But you look at him and it's not. Back of his head's gone. The exit hole's definitely bigger and worse. And he died. I was holding him and he died. And I was 14 and we buried him. That was the first of many, and then we would shoot them, they would shoot us. A lot of my friends got killed. One of my friends got stabbed in the heart with a screwdriver in front of me and died and stuff. But what happened is the gang had a leadership, we used to call the carnales, like the big guys, the shot callers, the OGs, and I was a part of that, right? So there'd be 13, members, those would be the leadership council. And we had a rule, blood in, blood out, you can understand what blood in means, but blood out means you get killed to leave. Meaning you never leave, right? Yeah. So one of the guys that was also on that council, he was a very good friend of mine, grew up with him since I was young. I mean, since basically I got to the US. He was 2 years older than me. And he was very, again, like I know they're gang members and it's kind of a strange thing to say, but he was a really nice guy. I mean, like he kind of looked out for me like an older brother, right? My father didn't live with us. I didn't have any older siblings. I was the only child. So, even in school or out, he was somebody that was very close to me. And what would happen is we would set up these hits back and forth. So let's say you're a leader in another gang and you did something to somebody in our gang. Now we want to hit you. Well, we can't really just walk up in your hood because you're going to be protected. So we would make these plans, right? Like, okay, where's he going to be? So this girl came up to me at a party and she gave me a number and, she wanted to meet up. And at that time, when you were in that kind of situation, you would get a lot of attention, not just because of your looks or something, but because you could facilitate a lot of things for a lot of people. I had another girl that contacted me about, my mom was very strict, right? So if I wanted to go do stuff, what would I do? I would go stay at my friend's house and his parents would tell my mother, yeah, they're going to be in bed by 9, but we do whatever. So Saturday night I was spending the night at that same friend's house, and he used to have a garage where we used to sell drugs and have guns and stuff, and then he had an inner house which nobody was allowed in, because that's where his grandmother and parents and all lived. But with me, he was that close that I would stay inside the house, and I would speak to his family and all that. So Saturday night I was staying at his house, and I told him, hey, I got these two at the same time, I don't know what to do. So he's like, well, give me one, I'll take one, you take the other. I said, all right. I gave him one number and I took the other, and what happened is he called and basically she said, meet me at this payphone and call me and I'll come out and get you. So he went, and when he got to the payphone, he rang the number. Instead of her coming out, a bunch of guys came out and they shot him. It was a setup. But the setup was for me. Qadar Allah. So, months they had planned this out, when I met her, and then she kept in touch with me, but she was working for them. So all that, was just a setup. Now, I didn't know. I was out, and the next morning got a call, and they said, he's dead. What? What do you mean he's dead? He was doing this last night. He's like, no, it was a setup. And it hit me hard. I felt guilty. It was a different feeling because...
He's a close friend as well.
Very close. Very good guy. He was always protective over me, and it was meant to be me. So I went to his funeral. First I saw him, and he had been shot 9 times. So the bullets were, I don't know how many bullets they shot. It was multiple shooters and stuff, but it was a 357 bullet that went through his head. So the back of the head was gone, and front had holes, and shoulder, hand, chest, body was all holed up. And somebody since you're a young kid. Like I said, I'd seen other people die, but this was a very close friend, and it was supposed to have been me. So I was just imagining myself there. So we had a lot of money, we used to bring drugs. We couldn't put it in a bank. We couldn't buy property. We couldn't invest. So what we'd do is we'd buy cars and put expensive rims on them. And so we had a really nice 64 Impala with rims and hydraulics and paint job and custom seats and all that. And I was 18 at the time. So it's not like, it wasn't really mine. It was ours together from the money that we all got from the drug trade and stuff. And he used to take care of that car. He was really into cars. I wasn't really a car guy. But he was really, he would wash it and clean it and all that stuff. And I saw his brothers were driving the car, and he had 13 girlfriends, not girls that he slept with, who knows, but 13 that were like his girlfriends, that they all knew about each other and all that, And each one of them was at the funeral, but crying on some other guy's shoulder. I watched this, I watched those girls go home with another guy. I went to his house. I was very close to his family, and obviously his mother was having a panic attack, and his grandmother was crying, but his brothers were already fighting over his things. And at that time we had these jackets called Ben Davis. They were heavy jackets, and they were expensive. For us, they were expensive, So his brothers were already fighting over that. And he used to store his money at home. I knew where he kept it. We were all trust. It was gone. His brothers already taken it, And I just started thinking, what's life about? Money was something important to us, but he didn't take any of it. Girls, no girl went into the grave with him. They all walked out with somebody else. Power, we used to have clout. Alhamdulillah, I started to study different religions. I realized there's more to life. Then when I left, I basically just stopped hanging out. I started going to the masjid. I started reading Quran. I didn't know how to read Alif Bata. I didn't know how to read Quran. I didn't know how to pray. I knew some basics I'd seen in my family, but I didn't really know. So I started to go to a madrasa, even though now I started to get a regular job. I couldn't sell drugs anymore, right? And now I was trying to go to college because I wanted to get my life together. So the gang called me. They're like, hey, where you been? I haven't seen you for a while. And I was like, well, I'm Muslim, and they were like, okay. And, I was like, no, like I'm really Muslim now. Like I can't do this stuff anymore. And I remember they were like, look, we're Catholics and Christians and you're Muslim and that's all good. I mean, you do you, right? That's all good. But gang is gang. Like that comes first, right? Whatever. And I was like, nah, unlike you guys, I can't do that. Like I can't just go confess. I can't just be like, Jesus died for my sins. Like if I'm Muslim, I'm Muslim. Like I gotta live it. Like I can't sell drugs anymore. I can't be partying. And they were like, well, I mean, you know the rules, blood in, blood out. You whatever religion you want to follow is up to you. And they were very respectful, like of religion generally, right? They were very respectful of clergy, like of priests. But the rules are rules, right? And if you don't obey by the rules, then what do you have, right? Chaos. So I was like, all right, well, I mean, you know me and you know what I have done, what I can do, and I know you. And if you come, it's not going to be easy. It is what it is, right? And that was probably the most stressful time in my life because I was worried about myself. I considered myself dead already, right? Because so many times we'd been shot at and stuff that, But what I was worried about is they're going to shoot the house and they're going to kill my mom. That's what I cared about, and I couldn't live with that, that my mom gets hurt because of me. So at that time, I used to have an attic. The attic had a vent to the street, so like little. So I would spend the night there with a gun, just waiting. And I knew how it was going to be done because I was part of the enforcement before. They would wait till 4 a.m., 5 a.m., Fajr time because gang members would stay up late. But by that time, you get drowsy and you just pass out, and then they just shoot up the whole house. So I was just waiting, and a day went by, and 2 days, and 3 days, and the stressful thing was they knew everything about me. They knew my schedule, they knew where I lived, they knew my family, they knew everything. After a while, I started thinking, I used to roll with these guys and we went through crazy experiences together. We were shot at, we were stabbed, we shot at others, we were arrested and we didn't rat on each other, we were pulled by police, and all of that we lived through, I owe it to them to at least tell them about Islam. If it changed me, maybe it would change them. And I felt guilty. Like I felt like, okay, I got this amazing thing, Islam, that now I realize the purpose of life is not sell drugs or party, and now I realize there's a greater purpose and why we exist and why we were created and Jannah and Jahannam. But these guys don't know this stuff. So I said, I'm going to go to the hood. I had started to grow my beard. I was wearing a thobe, imama, so I changed. And I wasn't going to go armed because I'm not going to take them on, right? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go. So I started walking, and I can't imagine what they were thinking. Like some guy in a robe is coming. I don't know what code they sent. But they didn't recognize me at first because I was, when I got close and they looked at my face and they recognized me, they were like, what are you doing here? Like, are you crazy? And I remember one of my friends that I grew up with that, he was still an active gang member. He told me, look, I don't know what you're doing here, but I swear to God, you're not going to walk out of here alive. We were sitting here thinking, how are we going to kill you? You just came here, and then they patted me down. I was like, I'm not armed, and they were like, you're crazy. Like, you're going to die here. There's no way you're going to walk out of here. At that time, I was like, all right, well, it is what it is, right? I mean, how long are you going to live looking over your back, whatever? So I told him, look, let me just talk to you. Give me 5 minutes. Let me just tell you something, what changed me, and then do whatever you got to do. So I started talking about Islam. I'm talking like, look, this guy got killed. This guy got killed. Where is his family today? Look at the hardship. His mom crying. You're going to get killed for what? Like for what drugs you're going to take with you? What money you're going to take with you? This guy just got stabbed. This guy got this. This guy's doing the rest of his life. His kids are messed up because he's never going to get out of prison. What's it for? What's all that money going to do for him in prison? There's no girls in prison. There's no fun in prison. There's no ice cream, no sunshine. What's the point? And of course, they had the same thoughts, so it resonated because whatever I was going through, they were going through. So 2.5 hours later, one of them, the OG, told me, look, we're going to give you a pass. Let's go. Just get out of here. We don't want to ever see you. Don't ever get in the hood. Don't ever let us see you. Just go. And in religion, we respect it. Leave. I told him no. I told him, look, I'll leave on one condition. You guys come to the masjid. Just one time. We'll make food for you. We'll sit down in a good environment, not this kind of place, and just come. And they were like, this guy is crazy, we're letting him live, and now he's putting more conditions on us. And then after a while, they're like, all right, fine, we'll come. Now, again, there were 600. Not all of them came. Maybe, I forgot, maybe like 70 or 60. Many of them, maybe 20, I don't remember. Like a lot of them came, not the same day. Alhamdulillah, 12 of them became Muslim, Look, it's not a fairy tale, right? Some of them still got killed. I mean, it's not a movie. Like, it is reality. It is what it is, right? One of them, he had killed somebody's cousin, and even though he left the gang world and he was coming to the masjid, one day they saw him at a store and they shot him. One of them ended up, he used to sleep around a lot. He had AIDS, he died from it. Some of them got locked up for stuff they had done in the past. But I can tell you, alhamdulillah, I still know some of them. And they're Muslim, and they left that world. They had to leave San Diego and stuff. So alhamdulillah, some of them did become Muslim.